And I think we're good to go. Okay, perfect. So, good afternoon, everybody. I'm so happy that you joined our live stream. My name is Hani, and I'm the Education USA advisor in the Czech Republic. And today I have three amazing ETAs, Fulbright ETAs. So, they're English teaching assistants, and they're just finishing their 1 year long grant in the Czech Republic. So, all three of them taught at Czech high school. So, you might know them actually. They might be your teachers if you follow Education USA. And today they're going to present about studying art in the United States, which is very unique. And I don't do this topic very often. So I know there were some questions about it. And I'm so happy that we have three professionals who know what is it and how is it to study art. So just briefly about Education USA, if this is the first live stream you're seeing, we are here to help you if your dream is to study in the United States. And we do that completely free of charge. So if you're currently in high school and you would like to apply to the United States for university, or you are interested in summer schools or in summer work and travel programs, feel free to reach out to me and I'm happy to help you with all the steps. I do have these ETAs who are at high schools and they can help you too. And they are your essay buddies or your college buddies and so forth, which is amazing help. But sadly, they are finishing right now, but we will have another group and I'm still here. So if your dream is to study in the US, we provide free services. There is a free event on Wednesday in Prague. If you want to meet people who are interested in the US, it's going to be in Park Kampa. So feel free to stop by anytime. You will find everything on Education USA social media. And yeah, I'll leave the floor to Ryan, Logan, and Isaac. And let's dive into this topic. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Yeah. So today I thought it would be good to kind of tackle one of the most important things when it comes to choosing an art school in the United States. And that's picking the right school. When you're trying to find like a school to study in the US, it's really kind of hard to figure out what program is going to be the best fit for you, especially if you might not have many opportunities to actually go to these schools and like see what's happening. So I am going to share some of my experiences. I'm going to open up the floor to let Logan and Isaac share some of their experiences. We all went to different types of schools, so we're going to talk about the differences between those types of schools and what our advice would be for picking a school if you want to study in the arts in the United States. So, one of the most important things that you need to look at when you're studying arts in the United States is the professor or mentor that you are going to be spending your time with. Unlike a STEM, I mean, what I assume in a STEM degree or many other degrees, with the arts, you have a unique opportunity to be spending a lot of time with one, maybe two professors. And it is very important that you resonate with their research, you are interested in what they're teaching, and honestly, that you like this person a lot. It is the only kind of, the arts are the only kind of part of the university where you will be spending at the very least 1 hour, usually more, a week, one-on-one, individually with a professor. So the first thing you want to look at with when you're looking to study art in the US is find who your main professor is going to be and really dive deep into their research or specializations. So they might be, like in my case, I studied percussion in the US. And obviously I knew I would be studying with a percussionist, but in that world, there are a lot of different tracks that they might take. You might have a percussionist who's really big in the orchestral world. You might have a percussionist who's really big in the like avant-garde or like modern music scene. Your education is going to vary a lot between those two professors. So it's really good to make sure that you resonate with the research or the specializations that they're doing. With the arts, it's usually very easy to find their work, usually on YouTube, on their personal website that they probably have. Usually, sometimes the universities will post their works, or you might be able to find a CV of their work on their department website. Really make sure you look into those. One big thing, especially if you're looking at a lot of these really, really big programs in the United States, schools like Berkeley, schools like, I'm talking from the music world because that's what I'm most familiar with, but schools like Berkeley, a lot of the conservatories, a lot of these schools that put a lot of money into advertising, what you really need to figure out is how often your professor is on campus. A lot of times when there's a professor that is at the top of their field, performing a lot, doing a lot of stuff around the world, they might not be on
Mhm.
campus as much as you expect. Some schools have, for example, um, I don't want to name any names, but I know a lot of programs where people have gone there because it is the best person in the world who performs all the time, does all these things, and they maybe only got to actually interact with their professor once or twice throughout the year. And instead, they're kind of just passed along between different professors and don't really get to spend time with the person that they went there to study with.
Mhm.
With these really big programs, too, you need to actually make sure you'd be studying with this person. If it's like, if they're advertising this person, you see this person's name a lot, really talk to the student body and see how long you're going to be, how much you would actually work with that professor, or if you even would work with that professor.
Mhm.
We're going to talk about this a lot, but you need to spend a lot of time talking to students there and seeing, like, my first year, my first 2 years, am I going to be working with this professor? Am I going to be working with doctoral candidates? How is
Mhm.
that going to work while I'm at this university? Um, Obviously, making sure that you like their work, that you're interested in the work they're doing, and talking to other students to figure out how this mentor teaches, especially if you're looking at graduate schools. Um, I actually had a huge problem going to one of my graduate schools because I wanted a professor who was going to have much more intensive mentoring. I needed much more a professor that was going to be much more hands on and help guide me in some things I was uncertain with. But their teaching philosophy was very hands off. You know, they would have been okay if I only came to 2 lessons throughout the entire year because I was working. As long as I was working on stuff. So, really, just making sure you have a strong understanding of all of these things with your professors and mentors is going to be great.
Mhm.
Logan, Isaac, anything you want to add with these?
Yeah, I can add. So I also studied music. I studied voice and music education and singing. And then for a graduate degree, I was in the research side of music with musicology. And it's really both all the same thing. You really, really, really this is crucial.
Mhm.
Learning who your mentor might be and learning about them. I would even say and recommend if there's a program you are really considering, reach out to them, see if you can schedule some sort of Zoom meeting to meet them. And I think what Ryan said too as well. Definitely, if you can, it might be a little trickier, but reach out to students that are currently there as well. Because you usually get a little bit less of a recruitment answer and kind of more of an honest answer sometimes, and so that can be very helpful to find out how that professor actually um, manages their studio or how they work with their students. So.
Mhm. Mhm.
I have things to add, but from the liberal arts side, but I think it'll be best to just wait a little bit and address it all at once. So I'm not going to slow you down right now. Just keep rolling.
Great. The other thing to really look into, oh, that's when you're thinking about what school you want to go to is location. One thing I've talked to a few students about when they're considering programs is to really think about the logistics of where you might be living. And we'll talk about this a little bit later when all of us go through our different school experiences. But I don't mean this as, well, I didn't write this to say condescending. I just to be condescending. I just wanted to make it like very clear. A small city in Europe is much different than a small city in the United States. The thing I usually tell my students when I'm explaining the differences between the two, like my one of the universities that I went to was in a city called Knoxville.
Mhm.
It had around 100 to 150,000 people there, the size of Providence. Our bus system wasn't great. The public transportation I never used while I was there. It was pretty terrible. If you don't have a car, there's not a great way to get around Knoxville. And I would say that's going to be the case for a lot of places in the US. I can maybe think of like, I would say 5 cities where public transportation is going to be good and 3 cities where it would actually be good. Um, it's there's a lot of things you need to consider when you're looking at different locations throughout the US. Um, so when you're looking at the cities as well, the other thing like you need to kind of decide for yourself is like, what do I want to do while I'm in this university? Do I just want to stay in the university and spend a lot of time like practicing working on my craft before I'm ready to go out? Or do I want to hit the scene hard? Do I want to be outside of the city? Do I want to be playing as much as I can, gigging, trying to create like a community there? And you need to connect this, like you need to figure out, again, talking to the students, talking to professors, and seeing what opportunities there are both inside the university and outside of the university. How does the university support students that want to tackle projects, like creative projects, again, both inside of the university and outside of the university? Will I be at a school where I need to travel, 30 miles to get to the nearest like art gallery that's like interesting to go to? Or like if my stuff is going to be shown somewhere, is that going to be within my city? Or do I need, like, if I need to make meaningful contacts, right, is that going to be inside of my city, or is that going to be way outside of my city? And then another thing to consider as well, not as important but just to think about, is the climate and the weather of where you're going to be. Northeastern United States is much different than the Southwest United States. United States is about the size of Europe. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at your program. If you like could not imagine living in a desert, maybe don't look for schools in Arizona. If you really, really like the cold and like snow and like get fulfillment from being in a snowy place, look at places in the Northeast, the Northwest, different things like that. Take all of those into consideration when you are looking at your school. Isaac, Logan, anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I can probably talk more about this when we get to the school, but yeah, just to echo, so my university's town was about, I think, 48,000 people, which is about the size of population wise of the town I'm at here, Carlo Viveri. They're about the same population. State College of Pennsylvania is probably 3 to 4 times the size area wise. It is much more spread out. And so that's generally true of a lot of these university towns. Oftentimes with larger universities, larger state universities, well, I'll get into this in a moment. The town is built around the university. And so that's also a whole different type of thing as well. So we can probably move on at this point.
Well, that segues perfectly because I wanted to use this next slide as an opportunity for each person to talk about kind of their experience at the type of school that they went to. So there's maybe a few more we can talk about as well, but I just listed the types of schools that each person in this panel went to. So Logan went to a liberal arts school. Isaac went to what I would call a very large, I mean, you would call this as well, Isaac, a very large state school. And I went to a much smaller state school with a smaller arts program. So I think it would be great if each one of us spent a little bit of time talking about like some of the benefits of going to a program like the one we went to, and then some of the drawbacks, or yeah, some of the drawbacks that might come from going to a school. So Logan, would you mind starting with like what you thought the pros of going to the liberal arts school were and some of the cons?
Yeah, I would love to. Do you mind if I share my screen? Is that possible? I don't have
Please.
my few photos and uh oh, you have to stop sharing yours, I think. Perfect. Okay.
Awesome. I see the questions popping in. So you guys, everything will be answered at the end. And now I'm excited to see Logan's screen soon,
Can you
hopefully.
see this okay?
Nope, I don't see anything. There is like a black.
No, wait, what? It says you're screen sharing.
Okay, let's try this again.
Uh, no, 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 no.
Yes,
Now?
now we can
Okay.
see Babash. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
So, liberal arts education, I will talk about theater in a second, but first I just have to address like what is liberal arts.
Mm-hmm.
What does
Hmm.
that mean for you? Because in a lot of ways, I think differs whether you're studying anything in the arts or anything from some of the stuff Ryan was talking about. So liberal arts, basically, you might hear the word and think it has something to do with progressive politics. It is completely unrelated. In an educational context, it just means basically you study everything. So
Hmm.
I went to a small, very small, like 900 students,
Hmm.
uh, school called Wabash College in West Central Indiana in a town of about 14,000 people. So talk about like extremely small, a very large international student population though. So it is definitely possible. Uh, I had lots of international friends. I can talk about that experience as well. The other thing that makes my college unique is that it's an all men's school, one of only two in the country. But otherwise, everything I say should apply to most small private liberal arts colleges in America, of which there are many. But at a like in a liberal arts setting, basically half of your coursework will be in your major. Your focus for me was theater, and then the other half will be outside your major. So we had like a certain number of language classes, a certain number of history classes, art, science, math that we have to take, and that tape makes up about half your coursework. Uh, what in the world? I do not share my screen very often. How do I go to the next slide? Oh, this is a picture of me with my finger in a sheep's heart in one of my
Oh,
science labs. So as a theater major, here I was in my like biology lab also. So uh, it is, I'm a huge advocate of studying liberal arts. I think it makes you a really well-rounded individual, a more interesting person. It also teaches you flexibility that is an extremely employable skill. No matter what career you may take, you can understand how to think critically about problems from a variety of perspectives, how to put them into relationship with each other. Um, I don't want to diss on any non-liberal arts too much, but this is my time to support it a bit, so I will. Um, it's uh also a great place to go if you aren't 100% sure that like what you want to do, what the rest of your life might look like, because the point is that you do a lot of different things. You try things. So it's really easy to be flexible, to change your mind. I went in thinking I would study math and and ended up studying theater instead. Lots of people do that. Um, and also talking about now like my theater studies, it like the liberal arts approach to studying theater. I didn't You don't just study one thing. For example, Ryan said he studied percussion, which is like a very specific thing. At Wabash, you can major in music. You can't major in percussion or conducting or like musicology or whatever. And same, I had a BA in theater, not directing, acting, although I did all of those things and more. So I started out doing a lot of acting, but I also got to learn about sound and lights and building sets and costumes and making and working with puppets, writing plays, writing screenplays. And again, I think that was super nice for me. I really loved that. You may not, but this is something to consider. And I also love that I got to dissect sheep's hearts and take religion classes and and take math and philosophy and history and ancient Greek and all these things. Um, Also because uh, we are a small school and because it's liberal arts, you don't have hundreds of acting majors like at Penn State or Tennessee or something somewhere like that, where whenever there's a play, there you go. 100 acting majors. Those are the people in the play. But there was only one other theater major in my class. And so most of the people that you see in like these photos that aren't me uh, are are biology majors or history or whatever. And so if maybe you think, I don't know exactly, I think theater or art or music is something that I want to do. I'm not 100% sure. Liberal arts education might be a great way to go because even if you get there and you decide, man, I really want to study chemistry for the next 4 years, you can still really easily be in a play or join a choir or take art classes, photography classes, whatever. I had lots of friends that would go to class, go to their football practice, and then come um, to our rehearsals in the evening. Uh, so anyway, I'm a huge fan of liberal arts, Wabash, and happy to answer more questions about that later. But I'll be done for now and try to stop sharing.
This is so cool, Logan. We have a comment saying, "Go Wabash, I'm a student there." So there is a Czech
No
student
way.
currently. Yes, he is a golf player. So
Great.
that's all
I
I
have
know
heard
from
about
the
you. It's a
comment.
small it's a
Yeah.
small network, and I'm
Yeah.
glad you're listening.
Yes, yes, thank you.
It's me.
Right.
I can.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I think it's
great. So I can
Isaac,
jump
yeah.
in. I do not have pictures or slides. Sorry about that. But so I went to the Pennsylvania State University. So this is what we are deeming a large state university. So I mentioned that State College, the town where Penn State is a population of about 45, 48,000. When there are students at Penn State, there are almost 90,000 students at Penn State in any given time. So the population of the town about triples when there are students there. So that's about the size we're talking about. So all things considered, about 130,000 people. Probably a little bit less because some graduate students live there full time, but so there's some overlap. But still a very large area. Um, what what's really great about the large state universities is that really you have so many uh, opportunities. I think opportunity is just the big word with them. Penn State, it was an interesting case as the a lot of the arts programs at Penn State are still relatively small. So for my music program in so I did music education for my undergrad. I was in a program, I think my cohort was about 20 people in the music education class, and that was relatively large. Um, and yeah, within the whole voice program, maybe about somewhere between 40 to 50 people. That's across all undergraduate and graduate. That might even be a higher estimate. The numbers have increased since I've been there a bit. The program is growing, uh, which is great. And yeah, so at these large state universities, you will also get some semblance of this liberal arts education. I also was required to take classes outside. I think generally across the U.S., um, most universities have some liberal arts education elements. I feel comfortable saying I see nodding to the other panelists, so I didn't speak out of turn there, which is good. So like I did have to take, something mathematical. We call it like quantification, or I had to take some history things, and oftentimes things count. So when had to take music history, that counted for my history credits. So the purpose, yeah, is to kind of expand your horizons, try new things. In fact, I actually one of the new things I tried was in linguistics, and I actually ended up double majoring in music education and linguistics. That's something that's at these large state schools is really easy to do. Let me see if I can find the number. So Penn State, to give you a sense, um, for how many different undergraduate programs there are. There are over 275 different undergraduate programs at Penn State, 275 different majors. What is what we call that. And even within that major, it's like music education, there were different things within that major. There were some people on all sorts of different instruments. I was in voice. Um, I was focusing on choir stuff. Some of my like my roommate and best friend played the tuba and was focusing on band, and so still lots of variance within that as well. Um, yeah, back to kind of the opportunity aspect. There was a lot of opportunity to do things and to perform of outside of music within this large state school and the surrounding community. State college is interesting. It's right in the middle of Pennsylvania. There's this whole thing with like the land grant institutions. If you're into U.S. history, you can look that up. But so they placed the university right in the middle, and the town kind of grew up around it. And so pretty much any like music tour or Broadway tour that goes from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh will often stop in State College. And so we end up getting a lot of different performances there. Like I've seen several Broadway tours at the Penn State Theater because they're passing through the area. Um, and also I've had the opportunity to collaborate with many people. Oftentimes, these large universities have really expansive networks to get in contact with people. Like, for example, last year, the choir I was in at Penn State, we did a collaboration with David Lang, who's one of the kind of foremost contemporary American composers. And so you get a lot of those types of opportunities, I think, a little bit more often than you might find at some smaller schools. And yeah, with that, I think opportunity, another side of that is you can really do what you want. Similarly to what Logan mentioned, my choir at Penn State was kind of the top level flagship concert choir. We did like international tours and such, and collaborations with these bigger professional ensembles and composers. About half the choir was non-music majors. And so you really have an opportunity to do a lot. I was part of a theater group on campus, the Penn State Thespians, which was basically all, I'm pretty sure, just about all non-theater majors, just kind of doing it for the love of it. And yeah, there's just lots of different opportunities for these different clubs and extracurriculars, and as well as classes. Just such a diverse array of classes as well. I took a whole class on film music at one point, which was really great. And because these programs are usually big enough and have enough professors to have full course loads, get everything they need, and then some. You often get to take these really interesting hyper specific classes like uh, film music. I took a whole class on American music in the 1950s. Um, I took a whole seminar on just on the composer Mahler. That was my graduate thesis advisor. It's his specialty area. So kind of got to work with him on that. So you get a lot of these really it's kind of deceptive. These large universities often you get some of these uh, almost, I guess, smaller opportunities with these because they have more resources to divide more up. As well as that, just generally being on campus, like we're a huge football school. The atmosphere is great. I always like telling students, my students here, we have the second largest football stadium in the Western Hemisphere, fourth largest in the world. Um, Not football, it's just stadium, period. It seats about 100,000 people. And so going to these home football games is always fun. Any kind of sports event you can imagine. Definitely lots of hockey. Yeah, and just a big campus and a big surrounding community. Um, yeah, I think that covers most of it. If you have questions, feel free to ask.
And then I'll talk about two different types of schools. The first one, the undergraduate school that I went to was a smaller state school, and that's pretty similar to a lot of the things that Isaac was saying. Um, are the I think the biggest difference between my undergraduate school and Isaac's school is that we didn't have any graduate departments for in the music department, so it was only if you were studying music, it was only undergraduates in that department. And it was really, really great. You had a lot of opportunities to play as a music major inside of the school. There was also a good bit of opportunity for non-music majors as well. Usually at my school, there would be two ensembles for like every kind of like instrumentation. We'd have like a top wind ensemble for usually reserved for majors and really good non-majors, and we'd have the like concert band, which was reserved for it was filled with mostly non-majors. We had two choirs with the same kind of breakdown. The really good thing about a smaller state school, and I'm sure Isaac still got to see this a lot at his larger state school, is that you do have a one-on-one relationship with all of your professors. You're never going to be in front of a graduate student. Like it's pretty cool. You have people very high up in your field that are teaching like an intro level musicology class, so you do get really really good insight on a lot of the things that you're learning. You have a lot of time for focus and development at these schools. Usually, these smaller state schools aren't going to be as cutthroat. If there are really, really good opportunities to develop, take advantage of a lot of resources and really, really grow as a musician. Um, the other type of school that I want to talk about is the conservatory, and these are usually going to be your creme de la creme of places to study either art, theater, music in the United States. Usually, they are very highly selective, very difficult to get into. I think the easiest equivalence is like an Ivy League university in the United States, but just for music. Um, Usually, if you're going here, you are going here just to study music. A lot of your other requirements are going to be fulfilled with your music. So, like, you're not going to take a history class, you're going to take a music history class. Usually, don't even have to take a math. They'll fight to say that, like, music theory is going to be your math class. Like, you wouldn't have to take, like, an English class. They're going to say, again, that your, like, musicology class or one of the classes you're going to take is going to be your writing intensive like class that you need to work on writing skills. So if you're going to these conservatories, usually they are in pretty big cities. I'm like you think of like Juilliard in New York, the Manhattan School of Music in New York, the New School in New York. Um, you have Ithaca in New York, or sorry, you have Eastman in New York State, and a few conservatories around the country as well. Yeah, at these schools, you're really just focusing on music, not doing much else. If you're looking for like an American college experience, you're not going to get that there. There's not going to be a universe or like a football team or any sports connected to that. You're going to be in a very cutthroat environment. People are usually like going against each other. Nothing like a movie like Whiplash, but it is very competitive. You are fighting for gigs usually in an oversaturated market, and it is not the place to go if you like would like some nourishment and like if you really want to push yourself. This is a great place to go, and obviously it works. There are great musicians coming out of these schools, but it's not something I would recommend for everybody. I think if you want someone who is really gonna yeah nurture you, um, help you grow in a non-competitive way or not as competitive way, don't look at the conservatory. But if you really, really, really just want to go cutthroat, you think you want to win a like huge orchestra job, and all you want to focus on is music, I would definitely recommend the conservatories for that. I think now would be a good time to maybe answer any questions that people have been asking in the chat or anything like that, if that's okay.
Perfect. Yes, of course. So there was a question when you talked about the liberal arts settings. That was kind of understood. But then there is a question, what is then the holistic approach to education in the United States? If you can address that.
Sure, I can. What I mean by holistic is that developing the whole person,
Hmm.
uh, uh, like I said, and as Isaac said, you will get this in most schools. There are definitely other differences to liberal arts schools, but just the idea that you should take lots of different classes in lots of different areas.
Mhm.
and focus especially on soft skills, communication, writing, uh, not just like hard skills like math, science, or performance or something. But
Perfect, thank you. There's a question if all three of you finished your bachelor's in 4 years, or if it takes longer or shorter, 4 years.
I can
Uh-huh.
speak on this one. Um, it's yeah, I finished in 4 years. I think the others, just by nodding, finished in 4 years. Most people finish in 4 years. I'd
Mhm.
say one of the really lovely things about kind of a shift in college culture in the US is that it's if you need to take more time, it's kind of totally acceptable, totally understandable, especially for people if you do get to a school and you get 2 years in, you're like, I really don't like what I'm doing. I want to switch. You can switch. It might you might need to take an extra year, and that year
Mhm.
might have like a lesser course load, but um, it's really easy. I would say most people finish within 4 years. I had a couple friends I knew for a variety of reasons did an extra year. Like I had one friend because the music education program is like 7 semesters intensive, semester of practical training, you're done. She wanted to do a semester abroad, so
Mhm.
she went abroad to London for a semester. But then because of that, she had to come back for an extra year to finish. She was also doing a vocal performance degree as well, which required an
Mhm.
eighth semester of those kind of intensive lessons. So it worked out. So you can do it for those reasons. And then I have other friends because that music education major is frankly kind of bloated. There's a lot to do in 4 years. Just decide, hey, I'm going to take it a little bit slower, maybe do the practical training in the fall, or just take a full extra year and do the spring. That is also very common. Um, I don't know what the policies with Education USA are with kind of the funding for this, but um, definitely it is most most majors you can finish in 4 years for
Mhm.
sure. But if you need extra time, that is totally great. So.
And we don't have any regulations. Like Education USA is just an advising center. So if you guys get a scholarship for 4 years, you better finish in 4 years, you know? So, like, good luck. There is a question for Ryan. Because it was very interesting how you said to really make sure you know how many hours will you spend with the mentor, with the person, and you mentioned that you should talk to the student body, and this person is asking like, how do I reach out to them? Because I only talk to admissions.
Yeah, it's a really tricky thing to do. So I think the best way to get started, like let's say I'm just going to use my example. Like if I wanted to study percussion at the University of Tennessee, which I would recommend everybody does, I would go on the literally just type in Google the University of Tennessee percussion website, Instagram as well. So when you go on their website, look under usually there's like a tab for like under the College of Music or like under the School of Music. Usually there'll be a tab that says people, and you can find like whoever the professors are based off of like what they teach. You can also most schools now are like the Tennessee Percussion Studio had an Instagram page that was very quick to like tag whoever their students are and just reaching out to them over DM, saying like my friend Freddie who's there. You could easily DM and be like DM him and be like, hey Freddie, I'm really interested in studying percussion at Tennessee. Could could we do a Zoom call sometime, or could I send you a few questions to see what it's like, learn about your experience, things like that. If you can't find that, be very creative. Usually these schools are posting a lot about their students, right? Um, I've just got a job, thank the Lord. And some of the best advice that I got about finding a job in the US was be a little bit of a stalker. And it really, really helped me out. If you can't find something directly, feel free to find like adjacent things. Like go on this like deep dive, like to find these people and reach out to them. Do whatever you like. There's so many resources online now. It's you might have to put in a little work. I know I had to for a few things, but be creative with how you find these people. I don't know about a lot of your guys' friends. LinkedIn might be a good resource. I don't think a lot of my friends are on LinkedIn for the arts, but you can usually like filter by like university that people attended. You can also just ask the advisor that you're talking to. If they're a good advisor, they will put you in contact with students. Feel free to do that as well. That'll probably be the easiest way. Just doing different things like that, I think, will really help. Will help you like talk to these people and not just advisors.
Awesome. Thank you for the tip. There were plenty of reaction for the location when you guys talked about the location and the sizes. I cannot stress enough for you guys who are listening here. You just cannot imagine unless you visited the United States. It's huge, and we are not familiar with campuses and campus life and how large the universities can be. Like the Czech Republic, pull up the map, the Czech Republic is the size of Maryland. Like we cannot generalize this, and the location really, really matters. So it's going to be very different if you study in Montana or Florida. So please reach out. I'm happy to connect you to a person who studies in Hawaii, and she loved it the first year, and then she had to move inland, So, yes, I'm gonna connect you because it's very hard to imagine, and I hope you love it, and I hope you choose the best fit for you. But I know it's hard. There are 4,500 plus universities you can choose from, so it's hard to kind of narrow it down. But I'm so happy that we heard about some of maybe you have never heard of Babbage, or you probably heard of Penn State, or North Carolina, but make sure just not to go for the name recognition schools, but there are some hidden gems there, and it might be the best fit for you. So just the location, again, this is very important. There is a question regarding the size and so forth, and because even the large school here is going to be considered small in the United States. So there was a good comment on, like, do you guys think, and it's Logan and Isaac, if you feel that since Logan studied at a smaller school, if it wasn't, because you can always make large schools smaller, but you cannot do it otherwise. So maybe Logan, like, did you feel that this was a good fit, or maybe you missed those huge football games and so forth?
No, the football games are way funner when they're in a smaller stadium. Maybe a hot take.
Okay.
You're much closer, but it's sort of like a legitimate point. Like you're closer to everything, whether that's football or your professors or your classmates or just the other side of campus,
Mhm,
uh, which I loved. I knew that for sure. I didn't want to go to some like tens of thousands of students.
mhm,
The first like by a few months in, I knew like everybody, at least their face, and
mhm,
like you smile at everybody, you get to know people. And I remember I'd been at school for a couple months and I went and visited a friend at Purdue University, which is
mhm.
like 40,000 people. And I was walking down the sidewalk and I was like, why is no one smiling at me? Because I got so used to just everybody smiling, like because everybody knows you all the time. I was like, oh, we're in a mid-sized city here.
Mhm.
Uh, which definitely there's more restaurants, there's more things to do. Uh, but I really enjoyed the close relationship that I got to make with my community and my campus and fellow students.
Cool. Isaac?
To add, yeah, I don't know. Penn State felt deceptively small to me. It really did. Like I would walk to classes, particularly by my fourth year and in grad school, and I think it would be rare that I didn't run into someone I knew. It felt
Mhm,
small, partially because you find that microcosm, that small area. And yeah, I believe that the School of Music at Penn State is only, I think, total, including ensembles, which has people from outside majors, only maybe 100, 200 students.
mhm,
As far as music majors go, there's not a ton. And
mhm,
so especially coming from a smaller high school, that was something I really appreciated about Penn State. You have this really large university and the opportunities and resources of that, but this really small school feeling. And I think at a lot of these big state universities, for the arts specifically, that's not an
mhm.
uncommon thing. to find these smaller arts programs at these massive universities. Um, yeah, and so I mean, I would walk around the School of Music, and it would take me 10 minutes to get from my office just downstairs because I'd stop to talk to everyone
Mhm.
for like a minute, you know.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it felt
Beautiful.
deceptively small to me. So
Awesome. All right. There's a question for all of you regarding the application process and if you had to submit any portfolios and if you had to go through an interview and if it helps to have a background already from high school, like from the art performance or something, if it helps somehow, or if you can decide to do that and starting at the university.
So it really depends on like what the end goal is. Usually, like for music at the very least, if you want to major in music, there is going to be an audition you have to take with pretty rigid guidelines on like who they will let in and who they will not let in. Usually, you can talk about this with your professor beforehand, what they're kind of expecting out of the students that they admit. I know for art schools, you're going to have to submit a portfolio of your work.
Mhm.
um, if it's something you want to do like more casually, if it's like if studying music or an art is not the main thing you want to do, a lot of times you will have to do some form of an audition. I know at like my both schools, Charlotte, they had a ensemble for everybody, whether it was like beginners, people who just wanted to do it as like a hobby or for fun, or like people that were training to become professionals.
Mhm.
You still have to do an audition, but this isn't really to see if you can get in or not, but just to see if like where they should place you within these ensembles, where you would be the best fit within these ensembles. I know there's a lot of like intro level classes that you can take at universities as well. So like if I never did, but if I wanted to, I could take an intro to drawing class, an intro
Mhm.
to sculpting class, an intro to acting class. Usually, if if you're beginning with something, it is not that difficult to find a class in something that you're interested in. If you've
Mhm.
never gone from it before and want to like train to be a professional, I think that would be very tricky.
Mhm.
I think it might be something where you might have to make like a lateral move inside of the university, where
Mhm.
maybe you're studying one thing for a year or two, or at a like partnering community college. And where you could still take lessons and then like transition from that. But yeah, usually those are kind of like the different ways you can get into a music department, art department, theater department at a university.
Totally
Awesome.
different for my
Okay.
situation.
Uh-huh.
That'd be for example, no portfolio or performance or anything.
Okay, so
Just
guys, see, it depends. That's my to-go answer when it comes to questions about America. It's like it depends, you know. So students already hate it. They call me honey. It depends. So yeah. Then there is a question, and you touched on it, Ryan. Actually, community colleges, because there is a question on scholarships and financial aid, and I'll leave that for the last question. But if all three of the colleges and the universities you mentioned partner with community college, so you can start at a community college for 2 years and then transfer easily. Do you know?
With the arts, I'm going to use your phrase. It really depends.
Yeah.
That is something to get a very like talking with advisors from
Hmm.
both universities, the partner and community college and the main community college. I know a few people that have been bit in the behind
Hmm. Hmm.
because they kind of made an assumption, and I don't think we're asking the right questions. Did 2 years of community college and then ended up having to do four
Oof.
years of regular school after that. I don't know what they were doing to not ask those questions, but um, yeah, really, really talking to advisors from both sides of the university is the best thing to do, depending on what program you want to do and how you want to do it.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. All right. What about you, Isaac?
yeah, so for example, Penn State has I think a dozen other campuses. And for a lot
Hmm.
of other majors, it's very common actually to maybe start at a branch campus. We refer to them as that for 2 years and then finish your 2 years at University Park, which is the main campus. music and arts is like the one program that really can't do that. You
Uh-huh.
must be on the University Park campus for the full 4 years.
Hmm.
And a lot of that, as I mentioned with that one friend, because the requirements for a performance major or a music education major, or even just a BA in music, are that you take a certain number of semesters of these private one-on-one lessons.
Hmm.
And if you're not at the university taking those lessons, and oftentimes community colleges, sometimes it depends, might not have these sort of private one-on-one lessons on offer.
Hmm.
And so yeah, it can be very, very tricky with the arts.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So just guys, please ask questions. Like they are there to help you and to navigate you if this is the right path to take. Perfect. The inevitable question, of course, scholarship and financial aid. There are always questions for that because we are very lucky in the Czech Republic. We have free education at public universities, which is awesome. And then it's, of course, hard to explain to your parents that you decided to go to the US. And when they see the website that says tuition and fees, it's like that's the end to it, you know? So, do you know if your university college provide financial aid and scholarships to international students? Isaac?
I um might eat my words here. I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
Penn State has lots of money to throw around. Um, and the I think the best piece of advice going in that I got was um, just ask. Again, just ask about it. My personal story with this was when I was applying to Penn State. I was between Penn State and UConn, the University of
Mm-hmm.
Connecticut. I'm from Connecticut, and so would
Mm-hmm.
have gotten in-state tuition there, which is
Oh.
cheaper. And but I really wanted to go to Penn State, so I emailed one of the professors at Penn State who I had been in contact with and said, "Hey, I really want to come to Penn State. Is there anything we can do?" And they found additional money to give me that made it so
Awesome.
Penn State was cheaper than UConn. And so ask, just
Mm-hmm.
ask. I know it might feel really, really strange too, but
Uh-huh.
um, yeah, just ask. And also when applying for scholarships, and also not just at universities, I believe there you can find other, and particularly once you're at a university, going into the community and finding other sorts of scholarships available. Apply for everything. Don't not apply to something because you think you won't get it. Let them tell you that you're not the right person for this scholarship. So that's the sort of thing. I ended up I'll say I ended up paying um, roughly 10,000 ish a year
Mm-hmm.
for university, which is about a quarter of what that would have, not even about 20% of what that would have cost if I was
Mm-hmm.
paying the whole thing with the room and board and
Mm-hmm.
dorms. And so, yeah, you can really find it's there. You just have to ask about it, find it, and apply for it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Isaac, for sharing. This is very concrete information, so thank you. You guys can imagine better. I love the advice to ask. My advice is research first and then ask because many information is online. So please start like following what I found on your website and then ask the question because you can Google a lot. But yeah, this is awesome help. Ryan, do you have anything to add?
Pretty much the same thing. Don't go in blind. Yeah, look for research. See if the university has like, or that the department you're looking at has a strong international base.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and see like what resources they provide. Sometimes the schools might have very specific, like my university had a music advisor. So an
Mm-hmm.
advisor whose job it was just to help people who are in the College of Music. And it is their job to know all the information about international scholarships. If you're looking at graduate school, graduate teaching assistantships are like the best way to go. That usually means your entire program is going to be funded. You're going to be doing some work for the university. But if you're looking at graduate school, that's the best way to go. And just to harp on what Isaac said, um, only in the US do you get to like negotiate for university, right? Like my brother, he really wanted to go to a school that was out of state, that was very expensive, and he said, "Hey, I can only afford it if it's this much," which was way lower than his actual number. And then the his professor came back and said, "I love the phrasing. They just found the money somewhere, but they found the money to get my brother to go there." And he's
Wow.
kind of going through this process again. He's thinking about taking an extra year just to practice. And like he went to his professor and said, "I'd like to take an extra year to study if it's fully funded." And now the professor's like, "Okay, let me see what I can find." And there's a strong chance he's gonna find money for my brother to study
Oh,
there. Um, it's so funny, but like if you do ask, like professors will come back and say they found something for you. Um, Also, like what Isaac said, apply for scholarships you might not even be qualified for. Usually, like in a scholarship, they say they are looking for a candidate that meets X, 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 and X. If you meet one X, still apply. You never. They might not get someone that meets all the X's, that meets all the criteria, and they might not get anybody else that applies. So you just applying will be the best chance for getting that money.
awesome. I like these money drawers that the university have, like that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Also, guys, this is important. Like, don't put your eggs in one basket. Definitely apply for multiple scholarships, including the Czech foundations. We are very lucky to have two major foundations. They open their admissions and the application process, Bacala Foundation in October, November, and then Kellner Foundation in January. Apply to both of them. You never know. So, no, this has been awesome. We have a few seconds till we have a few seconds till the end. But thank you guys. Logan had to leave, but thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Isaac, for sharing your experience and for sharing how does it feel to study the arts in the United States. Guys, if you have more questions here who are listening, feel free to type them under the live stream. We will get back to that. And yes, if you want me to connect you to Ryan, Isaac, or Logan, I'm happy to share the information with you if you need to ask a specific question. Thank you again, and thank you guys for joining us today.